I think we have quorum, so we will call this meeting back to order. We're running a little bit late. And welcome, Leila Vickerman, and Rachel Finseth, I think, is online.
Yes, she is.
You are from Bantry Bay North Headgates?
Absolutely.
Good. We only have introductions. I'm Arno Dirksen, Reeve County New from the Gem area. Beginning over there.
Division 3, Lynette Kopp, the Patricia Millicent area.
Dan Short from Division 1, Rolling Hills area.
Adina Scandrip, Division 2, Chile area.
Holly Johnson, Division 4, Scandia, Rainier, and Bow City.
Welcome.
Morning, afternoon. I'm Kelly Chrisman. I'm from the west side of the county.
Greg Screeber, Division 5, Lake New Resort, Castles, and Bantry Bay.
Hello, Ellen Unra, and I represent the residents around the village of Rosemary.
Good afternoon, Amanda Philpott, Division 8, Duchess.
Neil Johnson, Division 10, Works.
Ariana Nielsen, Executive Assistant.
Welcome, and you have a few minutes. Go ahead, please.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the short notice of us coming to see you here today. My name is Leila Vickerman. I recognize some faces here. It's nice to see some people that I do recognize. You will have to apologize. My notes are at my house. So if I'm a little off, please don't judge us accordingly. But I'll tell you a little bit about me and what got me here today. I used to live in the county of Newell for quite some time. I moved a few years ago into Cypress County. I moved to the village of Suffield. At the time, there was almost 200 street cats living in the village of Suffield. That is more than the population. Obviously, people were a little frustrated. It wasn't a pleasant experience to trip over dead kittens when you walked out the door. People had trouble selling houses. People took the problem into their own hands. It wasn't unusual to hear a gunshot. It wasn't unusual to have one of your own personal pets caught by a snare in town. And eventually poisoning started happening. Because when people are frustrated and they've gone to council multiple times and they get told no, there is no help, they will take problems into their own hands. In 2021, there was a proposal placed with Cypress County to do a catch, neuter, vaccinate, return. They approved that at $5,750 per community. They came out, they trapped, they took all the babies, they took all the friendly cats, and those immediately left our communities and got fostered out all across Alberta and into BC. The remaining cats were neutered or spayed. They got a little ear tip so that people knew that they weren't reproducing, and they were returned to town. Immediately, the loud cat fights stopped. The spraying on people's property stopped, and the babies stopped. Now, small rescues are able to work with Cypress County and pick up those little extras. No baby kittens were born in my community this year at all, not one. This was highly successful, and it took the stress off Cypress County. Just like you, they have had multiple calls. They had people show up into their council chambers with cats. It's not a fun experience. They looked at the costing of a shelter. I'm sure you guys have as well. It's way more than a county can handle. They looked at the costing of culling, going out and killing the cats. It's really hard to get people to volunteer to trap cats to kill them. So that costs a lot of money and unfortunately doesn't solve the situation. What it does is create a vacuum. The little old ladies that feed cats are still going to continue to feed cats. So now all of a sudden you have all these resources, less cats, and the population booms. What brought me here today, because I've been involved in this and I've lived in this area for a long time, people know my name, and I got a phone call a couple weeks ago. I had a call saying, hey, can you help me? There's 6 kittens here. And in talking to the individual who was just going out to visit a family member, I discovered there's way more than 6 kittens. I knew I was coming to Brooks, and I said, hey, can I come out and assess the situation? And I did. It was not what I expected to see 10 minutes from this office building. It would be what I would expect to see on a reserve that did not have any resources at all. The first little old lady I met was about 80 years old, and there was more kittens just a couple days ago, but she had to put them on her cremation pile. The people that are feeding the cats there, they don't have nothing. They aren't in the $1 million homes on the lake. They are in the oldest trailers. They're having trouble putting food on their own tables, and they're trying their best to support animals that were dumped there. Not one of them has a house cat. Not one of them contributed to the problem. They are simply doing what they can. I continue to walk through, meet the residents, try and get a full assessment of what was there. As I did, I noticed the vast majority of the cats were female. What this means is it is absolutely ripe for an explosion out there. So you end up with the same problems people did in Suffield. People taking things into their own hands, people being unable to sell a house on the lake, and then you start hearing about it a heck of a lot more. That's just the basis of how I got here. Normally, when I see a situation like that, I reach out for help within the community of rescue. I fully expected to hear nothing but no's. It's not easy to come up with a catch, neuter, vaccinate, return program in a quick manner. It's not always easy to find the funding. Currently, on the average price to vaccinate, deworm, and neuter an animal in Medicine Hat is $600. I counted about 30 cats out there. I don't think those residents have $18,000 to do so, nor do I think you guys do. We know that as rescue, we can't ask for everything. We have to find ways to fundraise to help these individuals. But we would like some help from the County of Newell, and hopefully as a pilot project to fix this area and move forward maybe for some of the other areas, because I see that some of you live in some areas that I know have many, many cats. I know out in Gem, for sure. We have Bassano, we have the highway between Brooks and Dutchess. There's quite a few colonies. I got stopped by the owner of the Patricia Hotel. She saw me transporting cats this summer up to Calgary, and she said, there's some help out there. She was absolutely flabbergasted because she didn't think there was any help. As I said, that my notes are missing, so I'm not going to take up much of your time. I'm going to give you what solution we can propose. Cats Home Foundation was started for this reason. When we see the problems in these rural communities, and we know that this happens in socioeconomic areas where people don't have as much, there has to be some sort of solution, because you don't want people shooting in residential areas. You do not want poison that doesn't differentiate between a child, a dog, a cat, or anything else. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to Rachel with Cats Home Foundation to propose what we can do out in Bantry Bay.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel Finseth, and I am the Executive Director of Cats Home Foundation. I have worked in animal welfare for over 15 years, but recently this year started Cats Home Foundation after working alongside the Canadian Animal Task Force last year in various counties throughout Alberta, but heavily in Cypress County, and seeing the lack of support and resources that are available in a lot of Alberta's more rural counties for cats, and the sheer overpopulation of cats in many counties, mine included. I'm in Mountain View County, and We started Cats Home Foundation in order to try to support some of our rural communities with catch, neuter, vaccinate, release initiatives, as well as placing suitable cats in adoption programs. So I met Layla through the work done in Cypress County last year, and she let me know what's going on currently in Bantry Bay. And we would like to offer some recommendations as well as what our foundation would at this time be able to contribute. So our recommendations in terms of the planning stage, Layla has actually taken the initiative to largely go and do herself. Our recommendation is always to do a town hall for stakeholders in the community, hear their stories, see what's really going on out there and possible solutions that stakeholders in the community are open to, as well as a geographic mapping to collect data on numbers, the health of the colonies, and kind of where the population density sits in those areas. So, as I said, Layla has largely gone forth and done this already. She's talked to a lot of the community members, the stakeholders, the feeders, and caregivers of these cats in the community, and has done a mapping of the area and the cats, and she believes there to be about 30. The recommended next step would be how you guys want to proceed. So determining a budget and goals for what you would like to do in this area, and finding a reputable agency to help support you with these goals. What we would be able to offer through Cats Home Foundation is to humanely trap the cats, do spay neuter for the cats, vaccinate them for core diseases, which would be rabies and FERCP, and then we would release the cats back into the community that are suited to be community cats. So the things that would make them suitable would be that they're relatively healthy cats, they get along with the other cats in the community, and that their food, water, and shelter needs are met. Cats that are not suited to necessarily be brought back into the community and would likely do better in a home environment would then be placed into an adoption program instead. Typically, this is young kittens that are more adaptable to change, as well as cats with medical conditions or special health or dietary requirements that wouldn't be able to be met being a community cat in a colony. For this project, we would be able to assist at a cost of $100 per cat to have them, like I said, trapped humanely, transported to Calgary for a spay-neuter surgery so that they no longer reproduce. And they would also get visible IDs so people can see that they have been fixed, and they would receive those core vaccines, and the ones that are suitable to be brought back would be transported back. Ones that can be put into an adoption program would then be put into an adoption program. In terms of future steps, our recommendation would be to erect a more permanent insulated shelter and feeding station set up for what would, at the end of this, be a managed colony on land that would be proposed by you, one that's not temporarily set up on someone else's property, but on land that you guys feel is suitable for this purpose, as well as an education program for the caregivers and community members that are interested to try and prevent additional cats being relinquished the way that these ones have been. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you for that. Are there any questions? Kelly, please go ahead.
I think the obvious question to me is cost. How do we do that? What does that look like? I know Bazzano had a program a few years ago, and were you involved with that? Okay, you're aware of it. Yeah. It's quite common for pet owners to take their animals out to the country and deliver them and drop them off, or bring them into town if they're country folk and think that somebody's going to look after them in town. So I think the problem is in both areas, right? So let's talk money, if you would.
Go ahead if you, yeah.
Rachel, did you want to take that, or did you want me to?
You can let me know if you have any recommendations, but on our end, in terms of just having the cats trapped, fixed, vaccinated, given ID, and brought back or put into an adoption program, we could assist at a cost of $100 per cat. So
Right,
in a
you
colony,
had indicated that. Yeah, no, yeah, okay, that's what I wasn't sure about. Yeah, I heard you say that. Thank you for that. The contribution they're suggesting is $100 per cat. Neil, you had a question?
Yeah. What comparisons to other counties do you have?
So I have Cypress County. Originally, when they were proposed this, they did 3 hamlets. The original proposal was $5,750 per hamlet. Some had more cats, some had less. By the time, just due to disease where I was, it was down to only about 100 cats. And I did want to add one of the benefits that does happen, because you did mention the dumping cats. When a colony is trapped and they're vaccinated and they have been spayed or neutered, they become almost closer knit. So what happens if, say, we missed one female cat and there's new male cats dumped, that colony kind of protects that female cat from, and it slows down the breeding even when there are freshly dumped cats.
Thank you. Holly, go ahead, please.
Are we getting complaints from our community police, like from our CPOs? Do we know how much of a problem it is? And we know some places have a lot of cats, but do we know how much of a problem it is? I'm in the country, so I get dumped cats and I'm good with it. So I have no idea what the actual issue is.
I think it's something we'll probably want to investigate, and probably maybe something that we would say, we'll look at this, and it's good to have the information. But Matt, you had a comment about it.
Yeah, I know one of my first experiences as a new CAO was, resident from Rolling Hills who wanted to deliver a cat and have us do something with it. It was on the front counter there. It stunk. And it was at the end of the day, and Ariana just about took it home. We're not, so the county is not set up to accept cats. BAPS also does not accept cats once they're at capacity, and they've been at capacity for a long time. So, the best I could do for this poor lady was suggest she goes to Medicine Hat. Well, it's a senior, she's on fixed income, she's already driven, and so that's the only cat complaint or cat experience I have had. I've asked Mark, Director of Municipal Services, if they're getting a lot of complaints. They haven't heard anything, but that's not to say that there aren't issues there that need to be looked at. So I think the town hall was a great suggestion for touching base with the community. Where's the issue? And if council wants to put some effort into tending to our cat population, we could look at a formal program. One of the questions I would have is, accountability back for the funding. How do we track that? Cypress would be good to reach out to on how the program worked there. But I imagine the $100 contribution only goes part way to actually offsetting the costs for the spay, neuter, trap, travel, kind of a thing. So if that's something you could speak to, that might be valuable for council.
Absolutely. $100 per cat doesn't even come close. When I said as rescue, we know we have to fundraise and we have to do the work, but we're asking you to do a little bit of the work. Now, I am aware that you haven't gotten a lot of calls about cats, but that's because people gave up years ago and they start, as I said, solving those problems themselves. It's not a cat problem, it's a people problem. This is not a fun experience if you live in one of these areas where there's a few more concentration of trailers or rentals. People move, they can't afford to fix their cat. The new apartment doesn't allow cats, so they leave it behind. In an ideal world, you not only do these town halls, you look for things like spay and neuter assistance programs, and you bug your buddies over at the City of Brooks to be doing the same thing, because it's cats from the City of Brooks that are being dumped in the County of Newell as well. So as each county, as each community goes forward with these plans, and there's currently plans in front of Redcliffe and City of Medicine Hat as well. That little lady, she couldn't have dropped off in Medicine Hat because they do not accept any cats from outside the city as well. There are more cats than there are resources. There are more cats than there are adopters. This is a solution that stops it, and it makes it easier for those people in those communities to live.
Thank you for your presentation this afternoon. We'll certainly take this under consideration and try to assess what the where and what the concerns are within the county, and appreciate knowing that as we move forward with this, we can be in touch with you to help to offset some of the costs as they arise. Anything else you wanted to mention before? Yeah.
So the cost as it arrives. So this here we're presenting at $100 per cat. So this could be used as a pilot project, a total contribution from the county of about $3,000. We'll set up a pilot project. The cost to those residents that don't have the money to try and do all that, as I said, at 30 cats, that it's $18,000. Yes, at rescues, we do work with volunteers and we do get some discounts, but it is a big part for us to undertake. And we're willing to do that if you're willing to support your county residents here.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation this afternoon. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Okay, we are back on our agenda, councillors. 1:30, and we've got some work to do. Maria, please. We're on to bylaws 7.1, road closure and lease, southwest of 1320, 14 west of 4.
Thank you. The purpose of this application is to close the road allowance along the southern boundary of the southwest of 15, 17, 16 to be leased to the applicant to facilitate the current irrigation farming operation. It is recommended that council give second and third reading to bylaw 2020-21. Approval to proceed was given on November 18th, 2021. Public hearing and first reading was given on January 6th, 2021. We finally received Alberta Transportation approval on November 1st of this year. It's a process, and there was not a lot of lag between the public hearing and first reading and shipping it off to Alberta Transportation. These lands are in Division 8, approximately 4 kilometers southwest of the hamlet of Millicent. The parcels on all sides of the road allowance are in the Agriculture General Land Use District. The applicant owns only the lands on the east side of the road allowance. The lands on the west side of the road allowance are currently accessed from the highway, but they could retain the right to access their property from the road allowances if they require through the lease agreement. Torxon Energy has also indicated that they access a lease location from this county road allowance, and access will remain available through provisions in the lease agreement. I think that's probably it for me.
Thank you. Are there any questions, Lynette, please?
I'm just curious because the pivot's all there and everything. It's been there for months. What happens if Alberta Transportation would have basically said no?
Well, that is a good question. And I guess worst case scenario, they would have to, so no infrastructure can be built right on the road allowance. So then they would just have to stop their pivot before encroaching onto the road allowance. And then they really reduce their ability to irrigate efficiently.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, Kelly, please? A motion? Yes, I sure am.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Second reading?
Second reading.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Similarly. Holly, please.
I'd like to make a motion for third reading.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Oh, this one, thanks, Maria. Let's move on to 7.2, weed bylaw. Which one did, yeah, Todd, are you ready to take 7.2?
I certainly can. I don't know that we have too much to discuss on it. We approved first and second reading and sent it to the Minister of Agriculture to get his blessing. He sent that blessing back, so I guess it's our turn to make third reading.
We're good to go. Thanks, Todd. Neil? Okay, motion to approve third reading. All in favor, please indicate. It's carried unanimously. Thanks, Todd. Now we're moving to item 7.3, designated officers, right? Lane, please.
So the intent of this particular item is to try and continue to relieve Matt of responsibilities that can be dealt with by other individuals within the organization. The legislation requires that council pass a designated officers bylaw. Up to this point in time, there's only been two designated officers that we've had, one being the CAO and the other being the assessor. Designated officers are required to have responsibility for certain functions that are outlined in the legislation. There's two additional positions within the organization that we feel can be appointed through a designated officer bylaw that would help relieve some of the workload that Matt has been dealing with. And what we're asking council to do is give 3 readings to this particular bylaw. The intention is that it would expand the scope of designated officer responsibilities that can be carried out by the senior community peace officer for specific functions that are outlined in the Municipal Government Act, and then also the responsibilities of the Ag Fieldman that relate to the Soil Conservation Act, the Pest Control Act. There's a Weed Control Act as well. So fairly straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions with regard to this? But there's no financial implication to this under any, at all, is there? Okay, Matt?
The one thing is things can move faster. People don't have to wait for Matt to sign an order. That requires a designated officer to sign. So it should improve efficiencies and reduce frustration for staff who wait for Matt.
Okay. Thank you. What is council's wish? Holly, please.
Is that still for oversight though, say for the chief, for the CFO, CPO? There's still oversight for him before he's signing? That's still worked in?
Yeah, so there's still oversight. These guys are the subject matter experts. When John brings me an order, he's done the homework. He knows he's got his ducks in a row for it. So I have a level of trust with both John and Todd, our assessor, as the subject matter experts. If you need to issue the order, issue the order. And there's been a few instances where, they've had to wait for me, and it's not efficient for getting things done. So not a huge huge win, but still on the margin, we're improving.
Okay, thank you. What is council's wish with regard to that, this matter? Ellen, please.
Motion for bylaw 2041-22 for first reading.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Someone want to move second? Greg.
I'll move second reading.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. And then because we are considering 3 readings in one meeting, we need to have consent to move to third reading. Holly?
I'll make a motion to have consent for third reading.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please indicate. All right, Adina, please.
I move for third reading.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. So we will move to Agriculture Services Fieldman's report. Todd, are you coming down or are you doing it from your mansion on the hill?
If it's okay with you, I'll be right down.
Pardon me?
If it's okay with you, I will be right down.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Let's go to 10.2 joint municipal meeting agenda items. What do we have on the agenda? Ariana, have you got, oh, there's nothing in that report that needs to be populated, right? What do we want to raise with the joint municipal meeting? That will be on December 15th, correct? And we are hosting that meeting with the City of Brooks and the other municipalities, not the EID, though, right? What do we want on the agenda for that meeting? Kelly, go ahead.
Wonder if we couldn't just broadly speak about giving everybody a heads up that we'll be working on ICFs in the new year. Just a suggestion, maybe possibly high-level discussion about the Bazzano Health Center or Bazzano project, properly.
Right, reporting on the fact that that's in happening.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And maybe we could creatively do something thanking our municipal partners for past involvement and looking forward to the future.
That's a good idea. What was that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Might be intimidating. That's a good idea. Do you have some specific ideas with regard to that? Or other things? What are other reporting or agenda items we need to have? What did we do? Last year it was hosted by the City of Brooks, correct? I was one of them. I think probably some reporting with regard to what's happening or what we're trying to initiate at CDC South is probably worthwhile, and other projects that may be going on in the region, depending on how they proceed by then. That's only 2 weeks away, I guess. So. Yeah, there may be some information on SAWA by then as well, too, potentially. So basically, Dan, please.
Maybe again a high-level discussion about seniors aging in place and what programs the other municipalities have, and what kind of ideas they have about that kind of thing.
Holly?
In terms of like CWA, wouldn't everyone know that from, like, I guess I don't know what people know from joint services and what we maybe should update them on, because the idea would be joint services takes it back to their councils, right? So I'm just not sure what areas would be new.
Neil, an answer to that?
Yeah, at the last CWA meeting, it's kind of waning a little bit, like the excitement under it. They've been talking about it for so long. The direction they gave all of us, like I talked to my Reeve, talked to Johnny Petrie, talked to all my counselors. As I keep saying, get the fire burning, because they haven't chosen their contractor yet or awarded their bid yet. And it takes like a year and a half, 2 years. And it kind of falls down. Like the good thing now is that we have the premier in town on Saturday to discuss SAWA partially. So yeah, I think it should be an item. Everybody will have the same item on their agendas, I think.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just a kind of a PR campaign. There's no real issues.
Yeah, thanks. Greg?
I think it's important to highlight some of our successes and some of the things we are going to be working on, like SAWA, some of the successes that we've had with, say, the Pathway, CDC South, some of those things that we are working on and need to put kind of front and center. And we may have our MLA there, but we haven't, I don't think it's been, or they won't be there? No. Okay. Oh, by video? Okay. So they're by video, so I think it'd be important to highlight some of our major things that we're doing, like Pisano and things, like highlighting.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I mean, I think that's good. And Matt, can you kind of summarize, get that prepared in a summary form so that we have, and we'll decide who presents and in what format, eh?
Yeah, I think we have one more kick at the can December 8th, so we'll summarize these and put it back in front of you to make sure we've captured everything here today and note who's going to take the lead on each conversation item.
Sounds good. You've got that, Ariana, and we'll move on and revisit this next meeting. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Kelly.
Just to summarize the idea, it could be titled infomercial or something like that. Just something about the county, highlights about the county. That's the way I see it. And
sure.
Yeah, good.
Sounds good. Yeah. With that, Mr. Todd Green, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's been so long since I've seen you guys. I do miss you. I'm full now, Dan, but maybe next time. Thank you. All right, so I got a few things in front of you here today. We're going to start with our wonderful Ag Fieldman report. And just so you guys know, I don't put these together for fun. This is actually a legislative requirement. I have to come every second month to do this for you, so it's actually really fun for me. But I've outlined some great things, and I don't need to take up a ton of your time. Rentals are kind of pretty standard. No real massive swings up and down. The no-till drills and the conventional drill, they go up and down in big swings. 2 years ago, we had a kind of a massive swing with lots of rain, or maybe that was 3 years ago now. And then we kind of see when we don't have a bunch of rain, we get a little bit fewer numbers just because guys aren't doing extra grass seeding. You know, livestock equipment, sprayers, all kind of regular, skunk traps, magpie traps. We've sold too many traps over the years, which is fantastic, but that means our rentals go way down. But we're happy to rent them out, sell them. We had one fella that rented 2 magpie traps just right around where I live, actually. He caught 87 magpies, I believe it was, in 2 traps. So, and I'm sure you guys all know magpies are really hard on alfalfa seed, leaf cutter bee nesting. So anyways, he was quite excited, and I don't even think he returned the traps. I believe he just bought them. So anyways, yeah, so just some little things. The stuff that we are able to sell, we used to be able to sell strychnine. We don't do that anymore, but we are able to sell phostoxin. So if you have any producers in your areas that are looking to use phostoxin for grain bugs or Richardson ground squirrels, they can do that. They just need to be trained in their farm pesticide certificate, which is an online tutorial. They come in, they write the exam. Most guys that are active producers ace the test, no problems at all. Excited to see the barbecue getting 23 rentals. I mean, that's not bad. It's half of what it used to be, but we're coming back. This is good news. So if you have a big community event coming up, especially June, July, August, September, make sure your organizers reach out quick, because we even have people that book like 2 years in advance when they know they have a family reunion coming up or something along those lines. So anyways, Emerson Bridge Park, yeah, we winterized everything. We shut her down. We did a ton of pruning out there. So if anybody is going cross-country skiing, if we get some snow back after it's all melted, you're going to notice all the bumps on the road. It's because we pruned all the roads and we got snow the next day. So we didn't go back and pick them all up. So spring jobs are good. Roadside mowing, got her done October 20th. We started a week later. We kind of ended a week later. That was unexpected. We have started to get a fair amount of calls on this CCIP program that just so happens we're going to be talking a little bit more about here right away. Happy to talk about that. And we actually had a troublesome coyote population in the Scandi area at a feedlot, kept pushing the cows through, or sorry, the young animals through the fences. So, pardon me? They would be the fellas to the west of you. A couple to the west of you. Yeah. So yeah, that's, we have had this problem in the past. A producer down Rolling Hill, same thing. We helped them out. They were able to remove 15 coyotes within, I think it was 2 weeks. So usually when the populations get that high in those areas, that's when they start, even just walking through a newly weaned pen of calves can just make them go squirrely. So they just need a little bit of help. Happy to do that. All 3 seed cleaning plants obviously got passing grades. We have 3 wonderful seed plants in this area, and I think they're a huge benefit to our producers. We got a few outstanding environmental farm plans. That's what EFP stands for. But guys are kind of slowly getting through them when they find the time to do so. And I did mess up on the new Canada Gap. It's not Canada Gap, it's called SCAP, Sustainable Canadian Agriculture something. I don't know why the sustainable had to be in there, but it was important that the sustainable word was in that CAP programming. So that's what the new grant is going to be called. So if you need anybody that wants to do an EFP, this is really good timing because we have Catherine back, we have me. We can there's lots of opportunity to get people in and take a look through that farm plan process. We did take the time to tour the county for some soil erosion concerns, probably talked about it before, but I think many producers have some great systems in place to limit the risks. It was quite nice to see some very green growth. There was lots of manure that had been spread and some large soil clods that were kind of left on the surface. So hoping everything's going to be good. I'm not confident that we're done because, I mean, that we have a lot of winter left, but you know, I think a lot of people put a lot of great things in place. So, and then I had shared the information on the Provincial Ag Service Board conference. I only received 3 responses. So I think Jolene would be interested in kind of getting us figured out kind of in the near future. So if you have a chance, take a look at that agenda. And if there's anything that piques your interest, we'll get you booked.
Thank you, Todd. Are there any questions? Dan, please.
Are all the farms required to do an EFP or no? Okay, it's just a thing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. The environmental farm plan is a completely voluntary program. Producers tend to see more value in it when there's funding attached to it, but it's just a program that lets you go through just from a high level overview of your farm and see if there's environmental risks. And you kind of put together a little plan, and it's your own plan if you have things that you want to change. And it's, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I guess with regard to the ASB conference in Grand Prairie, travel is one of the issues that need to be worked out, I guess we'll say. Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the report, please? Holly, all in favor? Indicate that's carried. Thanks, Todd. And with that, we'll move on to our policy review 9.2. Perfect. Shelter belt program first, eh?
Yeah, shelter belt program. So we've already seen a rendition of this, and then we took it back to the drawing board. And I was happy that we were able to get together with Dan Buell from the EID and the PhD program. We kind of outlined where he was at. We talked about it at our budget meeting on kind of what we were looking at going forward. And so we put this together. It's pretty wide open, but it does commit us to that labor portion, I think, which is good. And I think we left it a little bit open-ended, and I say open-ended just because it's not structured. We're going to supply 2 people 2 days a week, whatever the case may be. It's just a little bit more wide open, so we can kind of maybe start and fail a couple times before we have to come back to the drawing board and ask you guys for different permissions. And that's kind of just because it's relatively new for us to have this kind of thing in policy. So otherwise, I think I'm open to questions if you have them.
Thanks, Todd. Are there any questions? Or alternatively, a motion with regard to the shelter belt program to approve it. Any questions or direction? Neil, please.
I'll move the program. I think it's excellent.
Okay, thank you, Neil. No other questions? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. And move on to the Coyote Control Incentive Program.
Yes, so honestly, I just asked Ariana for our old CCIP policy that we had that we canceled in 2019, and this is what we're looking at. So the only thing that I changed was a couple of the years. Obviously, we're going to be going into 2023. We do review this policy annually, or we had reviewed this policy annually, and you'll see in the policy guidelines, the number 3. It used to be $15 per coyote when we stopped the program, and I had thought that $20 might be a reasonable number. We have low fur prices right now, and I mean the cost of everything we know is high, so we thought it might be a good incentive to be at $20 instead of $15. But otherwise, the program is relatively it's well received for the most part. We do, like I said, we do look at this annually for effectiveness. We require any hunter that harvests a coyote, we need to see that whole unskinned coyote in its entirety, so we can try to limit any abuse of the program. We dock the 1/3 of the left ear so that we know that it's already been paid for. And we only work with people from within the county of Newell. Now that includes all of the hamlets, all of the small towns, all of the, villages, towns, and the city of Brooks. So if they're a hunter within the county of Newell and they harvest a coyote, we're happy to pay them that incentive. What else is kind of, otherwise the program, we're happy to run it again.
Straightforward. Any questions, Lynette?
I had a couple. In here, you talked about a designated contract service provider. So is that somebody that will take the coyote? And then what's proper disposal? Because they have to take it. So if they can't take it to, or they have to take it to somebody to dispose of it, what can they do with it otherwise?
No, those are both really good questions. So our contract service providers would be the fur buyers that we partner with. And then, so there's different ways to, dispose of a carcass, but when our fur buyers buy them and they aren't able to take the fur off for whatever reason, if it's a coyote that has some mange or something like that, where there's no benefit to remove that, they compost them. So there's natural disposal methods kind of thing. They cover it in the springtime, and that's usually the best method. We don't enjoy when we have to pick them up off the side of the road. And we have had those concerns, and the numbers and it's funny when guys do it, because when you bring in, let's say it's 8 coyotes, there's not a lot of times where we pay for 8 coyotes. So you can go back and you can figure out who it was, and then you call them and you remind them that there's a better way to dispose of these things than on Lynette's corner. You know what I mean? But anyways, composting is a great idea.
Okay. any other questions or direction with regard to the program? Lynette.
I'll make the motion.
Motion to approve the 2023 coyote, or 22-23 coyote eradication program, I guess you'd call it. Well, no, it has an official name, but anyway, okay. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Carried. Thank you. Coyote control incentive.
Coyote control incentive program.
Yeah.
And it's harvesting coyotes, and they're always used for their fur if it's available.
Calgary Stampede Farm Family Award. I'm going to suggest that we don't we have an in-camera discussion around the nominees for this, but go ahead and explain the program, please.
Perfect. So this is always such a hard job. Finding it's not the hard part of this job is not finding a deserving family, it's finding only one. And we talked about that last year when we went through this process as well. But you can see from the, pardon me, it's my last page. No, I didn't bring it. The criteria that the BMO Farm Family, BMO and Calgary Stampede use for their for this program is, they have to be the farm's community members, agriculture as a primary source of income, live on the farm, be part of all the great things that are involved with that. So like I say, we have lots of deserving farms, and we have a list that I've included of names that we've discussed in the past. And I always find it beneficial for myself, even because the program dates back a fair amount of years, just to see all the past winners as well. So I included that for you, and yeah, otherwise it's kind of the same.
That's excellent. I think that we are going to continue with it, but is that a reasonable approach, that we have an in-camera discussion and then come back? I mean, we don't need the nominee today, do we? Do you need the information?
No,
today?
I'm just not here for your December meeting.
Oh. Okay.
So, pardon me?
We have 2 meetings in December, don't we? Are you gone for both or here for one of them? Or did one, we discussed with 1 or 2, we couldn't decide.
True, yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I will be here for your second one then, and my apologies. I thought that one was canceled. But anyway, so I just wanted it to be in front of you guys so that we had an opportunity to discuss it before January, and yeah, then that's when my deadline is in January.
Okay, no, that's good to know, and we can work within that for sure. Yeah. Perfect, good, thank you. Is that it? Anything? All right, thank you. Thanks, Todd. I mentioned on the hill. Okay, let's move to, we've done 10.1 and 2 and 10.2, yes. Let's talk about 10.3, cancel or reschedule our MPC council meeting in January of 2023, which conflicts with the Ag Service Board Convention in Grand Prairie, right? What is your pleasure? Do we want to cancel the meeting, or do we need to postpone it or change the date? Dan?
Based on what we saw in our MPC this morning, I think postponing is probably better than canceling. We don't want it to pile up on us.
Is it something we can gauge, or is that an... Okay, then we need to look at a calendar, I guess. Lynette, please.
Well, in the request for decision that Ariana did up, she's suggesting to take the meetings from the 5th and the 19th and move them to the 12th and the 26th. So I would make the motion to do that.
Thank you. I read that too. Had missed that for the minute, but thank you. Okay, we have a motion to change our January meeting dates. Kelly, go ahead.
So just for conversation's sake, it also depends how many people are going to Ag Service Board Convention. We've had times where you know, less than 6 go to convention, so that leaves 6 to carry on with council and MPC. So there's that conversation as well. But changing the dates is fine as well. Probably takes your decision away. I've already made my decision about January, but it doesn't impede your decision.
Okay, Ariana, you have a comment?
The other thing, in addition to avoiding the ASB conference, the agenda for this meeting would have to be like current timelines. We'd have to distribute it on the Friday when we're closed that week. So people are gone for holidays. This gives them an extra week to get their stuff together for the meeting and distribute normally.
Right, by the current, with the current schedule, you have to meet on January 5th, and that's pretty quick after the New Year. So that you're saying that works better to change it anyway. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to Councillor pay sheets.
Arno, I would be curious who's interested in going to the ASB.
Yeah, let's have a quick show of hands. Who's thinking to go to the Ag Service Board meeting? Adina? I don't know. Yeah. 7 or 8 of us anyway.
I request that Matt or Ariana write down this name.
Pardon me?
I just need to know the names of the people that are wanting to go.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay, Neil, Amanda, Ellen, Greg, Arno, Holly, Dan, and maybe Adina. Can't, yeah, read it right now. Is it standard for, like, what's been practiced? Is whoever wants to go, or do we, that's how we handle it, right? Whoever can make it. Good. Right, because, yeah. Pardon me?
I think the travel is going to be a big one. It's a 9.5-hour drive, something like that. But they were looking into a possible flight, I believe.
Or a big bus.
Or a smaller one. Yeah, maybe we should look into a smaller bus or something that could get us all there together. Yeah, we're on. Okay, good. You got that information, Todd? Adina is not in the room right now, but other than that, I think you've got direction from us. Okay, let's move on to Councillor pay sheets. What do we need to discuss there? Kelly, please.
I just had a question. I don't know if it's for Comp Committee or for Matt. I wondered how June and July pays could be the same, identical numbers for everybody. I'm just looking at the recap portion at the top. And if you'll notice, and I have it printed off, so, sorry, May and June, sorry. So I'm just curious how that happens. Not possible, actually.
Yeah, we can have a payroll look at that summary.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions or any? Holly, please.
So in regards to the clarification that field day was supposed to be a paid day, and I forgot to include it anywhere on my sheet, do I submit it in hours for like November? It doesn't come in by my name, anything comes in. Would she have caught that? Okay. I didn't put in for anything on the field day, like not as a freebie, and I just forgot about it completely. Will it get picked up or need to resubmit it? Because it doesn't, when you have the adjustments, it's not, nothing is in my name about that. So she might not have, I was even there, right?
So in the situation where you didn't put something in, there's times we see it and we know, and we can make that change for you. But I can barely keep track of my own timesheet sometimes. So I will miss if you guys miss. But if you do miss it and you know you miss it, put it in for the next month. And just make a note that I missed it, because every month, one or two of us forgets to put in our conversation review committee charges, and it gets put in the next month after. So if you miss it, put it in for the next one. Just put a note.
Good, I'm not alone.
But as far as the field tour date, Jackie was supposed to have put it back in for everybody because we had removed it because we misunderstood. And so she was supposed to have put it back in for everybody. So.
Okay, so any other questions, Kelly, please?
You ready? I'll give a motion to approve.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. All in favor of the motion to accept the councillor pay sheets as presented? That's carried. Thank you. Requests for functions of council. What do we have coming up? Neil, have you got a SEWA, or that's just a SEWA meeting and it's covered? Or doesn't it matter?
The only SEWA would, outside of the regular meeting, would be that meeting Saturday with Danielle.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a function of council or not. I think it should be.
Yeah. Move that?
I'll move that.
Do we need to move those individually, or can we use them? Yeah, okay. All in favor that that be a function of council? It's carried. Are there other things? Matt, please.
So we've included the Alberta Health Services South Zone Healthcare Planning sessions. There's a number of sessions, the attachments in the agenda. That's one thing that could be considered. And then I think Lane had also sent out an email about a tour for the Brooks Greenhouse research station over there at CDC South. That's December 1st. If there's any interest in attending
right.
that.
Some of us have been on a tour there, but
This tour that came out is about the actual greenhouse that Lethbridge College is running with the strawberries and tomatoes and whatnot. So the part that we weren't allowed to go look at the last time, now they're going to tour us through that.
Greg and I were on a tour like that. Yeah, we have it so different, not when we revisit. Yeah, Nadina too, yeah. So some of us been on it, worth going. Yeah, they'll send you home with tomatoes. So, so a motion for that to be function of council, Neil? All in favor, please indicate. Health Services meeting that Matt referred to should be a function of council. Greg makes that motion. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Greg.
Kelly was wondering about the Christmas party. I think that's a no, Kelly.
The other one that I was going to suggest, we do have a working, but I assume that the working group for the Bassano project has already been approved, right? Okay, that's good. Anything else? If not, we can deal with them in retrospect. Which is, yeah. Okay. Director of Municipal Services, Mr. Mark Harbrink, welcome to the meeting.
Well, good afternoon. Yeah, just some of the highlights, I guess, keeping in mind that we're over halfway through November as well, and seasons have definitely changed on us. So a lot of what's in this report from the end of October is very different. So I'll do a little bit to highlight on some of that. But key things: municipal enforcement. The administrative penalty information system update for phase 2 continues. Our department has a few things to work on here with that group and whatnot, but it's all in progress and we're keeping up with things as they develop. Fleet trucks with Enterprise, we've got them all active in service now. And we sold 3 of them earlier, a couple weeks back, about $6,000 in profit per truck, with the exception of my older unit being a 2020. There was $1,000 profit made off of that after about 24 months worth of ownership. And then more recently, we've also sold another 3 trucks for also $6,000 a piece. So 6 times 6 is $36,000 to the net good of things. I don't know any of you that run your own personal vehicles and make a profit at the end of your ownership period, but I'd say the program is doing what it is to do for us in favor of our ratepayers anyway. Operation-wise, grader operators were grading gravel roads. They've been busy plowing snow, obviously, and it really hasn't ceased since the beginning of the month. But those same kind of things, drilling programs, stuff like that, dictating where our grader operators are most highly needed to keep road conditions where they need to be. And other than that, snow plowing since. Truck drivers, additionally, we got the Rolling Hills truck parking lot is complete. No, there are no signs erected out there. Wasn't really the plan. I'm sure we'll probably have to put something up next year just to make some small advertising to it anyway, but I do have requests to get some social media out about that and start getting that so it's known what it is and what it's for. Also assisted with the Emerson Bridge Park campground improvements, hauling aggregates down there, and of course they have been ready for winter storm response and have been active ever since the beginning of November as well. Maintenance operators keeping up with sign work orders, and they had started installing snow fence towards the end of October. They are still in the progress of installing snow fence because they too have been busy with snow response efforts in the hamlets with 2 tons and getting snow moved and removed. Steveville gravel pit, preparing for potentially the last crush in that pit for what we own. And operators are busy relocating the access road in there so that that last crush can take place along the property line as needed. Graders, the motor graders that we have on order, we spoke a little bit about this at budget deliberations earlier, and they are on order. The anticipated dates remain as January through April of 2023. Gravel foreman fulfilled his seasonal employment with us as of October 26th, so rounding him out, hopefully see Al back in the spring. If not, I guess we'll be looking for somebody new, but it is anticipated that Al will be back, and that will be great for knowledge retention and whatnot in the programs. Kinbrook Connection Pathway Partnership, the 2.4 kilometers of pathway, with the exception of getting the hydro seeding done along the path to get that grass reestablished. Everything is done. The signs are installed at the south end of the path saying stop to pathway users before they proceed out onto the road. Fencing got installed last week and is complete, and things look really great. So getting some other social media out there as well that we're taking care of that pathway through the winter months and promoting its use. Yesterday at lunchtime, I think I saw 6 people, including one elderly woman with a walker, out on the stretch coming from the EID office to the CRA. So hopefully we see that traffic coming this way as well. CNWP Phase 2, land ownership easement signing continues. In this report, I had 6 outstanding easements. My understanding in discussions with Jeff today is there are 1 to 2 of them, so there are really no concerns whatsoever as we move into construction. And construction is expected to kick off prior to Christmas. So the majority of that work will obviously be taking place in 2023 as Jeff and the engineers work on the future contracts in contract 2 and 3, or however we break that up to get the other 300 and some odd services installed. North Headgates, we're waiting on a few of those things to remove those stop orders as we can. And what else we got? Joint use and planning agreements with school districts and whatnot is being investigated because that is a legislative requirement coming for 2023. June being the deadline, so the team is getting up to date on that, and we'll be getting things in place. Other business, continue with our transitory files and records management stuff. Our administrative assistant here has completed a leadership fundamentals course, and the operations supervisor completed the APWA Public Works Supervisor Level 1 training in October. And of course, we've been working through some of our regional emergency management stuff as we conducted an exercise on October 18th. Last part of my report, the permit statistics, just an update since then. October statistics, 252 permits issued. So that brings us right into that same realm of 2019 permits. Year-to-date total is 2,030, and the forecasted year end is 2,436, which is an increase of 12% over last year. So that again is just the highlight of activity going on in our region with the movement of over-dimensional oversized loads. So if there are any questions, I would gladly answer.
Holly, please. Thanks, Mark.
Just explain about the north headgates and exactly what's happening to stop work orders and that there.
Those stop work orders have been in place since early 2000s. There wasn't supposed to be any development taking place. That's due to a number of conditions on that property being non-compliant with their land use bylaw and development standards. That's been a 20-year event that's been worked on. Jeff has worked diligently with planning and development services and engineers to bring it to what it is today through the redevelopment plan. The stop orders will remain on those properties to ensure that the PSDSs get brought up to standard, and then we can remove them one by one, as those properties won't be one large parcel, but independent properties, as the redevelopment plan called for. And that's our protection to make sure nothing else is going on. Otherwise, we can bring some recourse against those properties.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for the report, and we need a motion to accept the municipal services report. Greg, please. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Committee reports. We have the committee reports. Oh, yes. Right, here's the list as well. Joint services. Greg, if you've got a report or you want to report on joint services. Chairman of the Joint Services Committee for 2023, Mr. Greg Screever.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
That was going to be my report.
Gee, I hate to dwell.
No, just wrote a couple notes here. The Let's Go Skills Day was held on November 9th, and that's the where there were schools invited to go out to the college and do some health services type of learning, searchers and needles and things like that. So it was very well attended. They had over 200 people that were on the waiting list to get in there. So it was very encouraging, and I think from what I remember, we're going to two times next year. So hopefully we can get more of those kids into that. And the idea behind that is just to get kids into staying in our own area and helping out and getting them interested in health services. The other thing was we've already talked about this, December 15th, the Christmas open house and the annual inter-municipality meeting and supper. So that's going on December 15th. And yeah, I'm now chair of the joint services. So yeah, I'm very honored to do that.
It's good. Glad you're doing it. Neil, please.
Yeah, you missed one thing there on that, was it Let's Go program? There is an intention that joint services strongly supports to move it out to the Pisano schools, the Dutchess schools, every school in the county, because it's really well taken up, and it's a fantastic program.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, any further questions or anything for Greg? If not, we'll move on to Brooks Regional Tourism Association. Ina, is that your report?
All right, so just a
couple of things. So we repaid our SEBA loan, so that is not on our books anymore. They're looking for volunteers for the Alberta 55 plus summer games. So there's a pretty good, go to the website, Brooks Regional Tourism. You can sign up. There's also, describes what these jobs are. So for example, games chairperson, sports activity coordinator, public relations coordinator, so things like that. So they're looking for volunteers. We had a presentation by Travel Alberta, and they are looking for anybody who has some kind of agritourism to develop. Travel Alberta is looking at that, so if you had some kind of idea of why people might come out to see your farm for some kind of agritourism, Travel Alberta is interested in helping you with that. And then the last thing that I have to say about Brooks Regional Tourism, I did ask them about the name change. They told me that they had done a very in-depth look into the name, and it was called Newell Regional Tourism. It was a flat no. They said they discussed it. They had a steering committee, and that they changed all their branding, and that this is the way it's going to stay for now. And they also said that you were on the steering committee, Ellen, so that they told me I should have known that that was the way. That's all I have for that.
So what is the official name now? Still the same?
Brooks Tourism Region. Regional Tourism. Brooks Regional Tourism. That's the official name.
That was never, a motion was never on the table for that.
Well, she sent me the information. I can circulate it to the council for you to see it. I'll do that right now.
Okay, thank you. Dina, any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to PEP. Oh, sorry, Kelly.
No, I'm sorry. I just put my hand up when you looked away. I just wanted to share with council something that I do on a volunteer basis. Been doing it for just over a year now. It's an organization called Newell Adult Education. And the office is in Bassano, but we serve all of the county of Newell proper outside the municipality of Brooks. Brooks has its own CLN or CALP as it goes. We just had our AGM last night, and it's been a year of rebranding and rehiring staff and rebuilding the board. We have 6 board members now, I'm proud to say, all volunteers on the board. And we have 17 learners in place and open to more throughout the county. We also are interested in tutors, anybody who would have 2 hours a week that would like to help somebody. And typically we try to match you up in your community where you are. You can do online tutoring or tutoring at the library or wherever we set up a meeting place for you. I just wanted to share that with you, that this is going on in our county. It's a budget, I'm trying to think of what our budget is. $110,000 a year comes from education. And this program actually has been going on in the county of Newell for about 30 years, 30 plus years. It's changed and evolved over the years. Now it's totally focused on reading, writing, and arithmetic, and also life skills. So cooking, first aid, Actually, we have a first aid course starting in December that we are subsidizing. It's a $175 program, and we're asking registrants to pay $100. So that's a benefit to farmers as well. If you know of anybody that needs to either research or get their first aid. Anyway, I want you to know it's out there. ESL is also part of the program. So, yeah.
There. Pep, Holly, please.
Just real quick, in case you guys noticed the trade show, there was a booth there from all the well, kind of RETA areas across the province. So Doug Jones and Lauren Buse, who are the I want to say chair and vice chair of PEP, were both there trying to give support to our region. So if you stopped by the booth, you might have seen one of them, but you might have walked by because there were a heck of a lot of booths to look at.
I saw it. Thank you. Sewa Neil.
Ray has just emailed me a briefing update of the project. I will send it to all of you.
Okay. Good. Hot off the press. That's it? That's it. Yeah, thanks. Anything else? This is news time. I got to tell you about, there's a marketing gym on Mondays from 11 to 12 o'clock every Monday. It's an entrepreneur and literacy initiative of the GEM school, grade 1 to 6. And there are multiple little businesses starting up. It's the coolest thing I probably have a pretty soft spot for it anyway, but it is good. There's a lot of people come for coffee at the GEM library, and it's partly that too. It's a social activity, but the two school teachers there have initiated entrepreneur and financial literacy program that is really good. Could be something similar implemented all across the country, really, because these kids are building little things from necklaces to cookies, selling them. So good. Anyway, just some information. If you're bored on a Monday, come to GEM. Okay, where are we at? We're getting close to the last part of our agenda here. Post agenda items, there are none. The information items are listed there for us. Are there any questions or comments about any of those? Or nothing you need to add, is there, Matt? So with that, I think a motion to go in camera would be in order. Amanda, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. It's carried. We'll go in camera. Holly, or pardon me, Kelly, do you have a motion?
I do have a motion. I would like to nominate a family from the north end of GEM for the BMO Farm Family Award for 2023. This family is going into a third generation now, on the fourth generation on the land, well deserving of the nomination and the criteria set out by Calgary Stampede. I'd like to nominate Russell and Pam Douglas.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion, please indicate. It's carried unanimously. Thank you. So you've got that information, Todd. Lynette, please.
I had a question on the payment register, if I may.
Yes.
We gave registration refunds to two people, like $1,500 refunds. Were they registered incorrectly, or why would we have done that?
Could be a number of reasons. Which register are you looking at? 1021 or 1115? Yes, somebody could have come in, canceled their registration, number of different things. We typically don't give people money back that they're not entitled to. Yeah.
Okay.
If you get me their names, if you want to send me an email, I can get a specific answer for both of them to all of council. I'll dig up the invoices and.
Okay. I think we're close to adjournment. I will adjourn the meeting. Lynette makes a motion. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.